tiny kitten trapped under a car for 3 days, but love saved her life. The tiny cries were impossible to ignore. They came from somewhere under a parked car, faint, weak, and full of fear. When people finally looked closer, they saw a tiny kitten stuck tightly between the metal parts underneath. No one knew how she got there or how long she'd been trapped. Later, they learned she had been hanging there for 3 whole days, unable to move. Passers-by stood around helplessly. The kitten's legs were swollen, her belly looked strange, and she could barely cry anymore. Then the car's owner returned from a business trip. The moment he saw her, he rushed to grab tools, his hands shaking as he worked to get her free. It wasn't easy. Every move made the kitten whimper in pain. But after what felt like forever, the little one was finally pulled out and wrapped in a towel. She was shaking, but alive. He decided to take her home. He didn't know it yet, but that small decision would change both their lives. The kitten was exhausted. Her tiny body felt limp, her fur dirty and cold. He offered food and water, but she could hardly eat. Her back legs were swollen, and a strange bulge had formed on her stomach. Worried, he rushed her to the animal hospital early the next morning. The vet listened carefully as he explained everything. How she'd been trapped under the car for days, how she couldn't walk. After checking her, the doctor's face grew serious. The kitten's legs were badly infected. Hanging upside down for so long had caused a buildup of lymphatic fluid, and the swelling had turned severe. Pus had started forming inside, and the blood flow to her legs was almost blocked. Her condition was dangerous. The vet explained that if the infection spread, it could threaten her life. The safest way to stop it might be amputation. The word hit him like lightning. How could such a tiny creature lose her legs? She had already suffered so much. He looked at her, small, scared, and trembling, and felt his heart break. The doctor showed him the CT scan. The damage was worse than anyone expected. The infection had reached deep near the bone, and the swelling on her belly was caused by inflamed lymph nodes. Every time the wound was cleaned, pus poured out. The kitten screamed and twisted in pain, but the doctors worked gently and carefully. They cleaned the wounds, applied medicine, and wrapped her legs in soft gauze. Even through her fear, she didn't bite or scratch. She just cried softly and tried to stay still. Everyone agreed amputation was the safest option, but it would be risky and expensive. The kitten was still so young, and anesthesia could be dangerous. After thinking for a long time, he asked the doctor to try conservative treatment first, daily cleanings, antibiotics, and close monitoring. If it didn't work, they would consider surgery later. The vet nodded, though the chances were slim. Each day, he brought her back for dressing changes and injections. Each day, she cried when the wounds were cleaned, but she never gave up. She learned to trust the people who helped her. Her eyes began to soften, and she stopped trembling when she heard their voices. At home, he set up a small, warm space with blankets and food. She was picky at first and refused cat food, so he fed her eggs and boiled chicken breast to keep her strong. Even with bandaged legs, she tried to walk and explore, wobbling toward her litter box or curling up in a blanket after eating. Watching her fight to live made him even more determined to help her heal. Days turned into weeks. The routine was hard, hospital visits, medications, endless cleaning, but she stayed brave through it all. Slowly, the swelling began to go down. The pus stopped leaking. Her appetite returned, and her little belly began to fill out. The kitten who once couldn't move now lifted her head, meowed softly, and even tried to play with her tail. The doctors were amazed. "She's stronger than we thought," one of them said. The infections were fading. The wounds were healing. Against all odds, her legs were saved. When he brought her home that day, he couldn't stop smiling. The kitten curled up on his lap, warm and peaceful. Her fur, once rough and dirty, was now soft again. Her eyes shone with life. She looked up at him, purred for the first time, and rested her head against his arm. It was as if she knew she was finally safe. Now she spends her days chasing toys, sleeping in the sunlight, and eating with a healthy appetite. Her legs are still a little weak, but she walks proudly, full of energy. She's no longer the frightened kitten trapped under a car. She's a survivor, living proof of what love and patience can do. Looking back, he knows rescuing her wasn't just about saving a life. It was about faith that kindness can heal even the most broken little souls. That small kitten taught him more about courage than he ever imagined. And though her journey was painful, it brought her to the one thing she needed most, a home filled with love. If this story touched your heart, remember her. Somewhere out there, another little life is waiting for help, just like she once did. Even sharing this story can inspire someone to stop, look closer, and save a life. Because sometimes love doesn't come easy. But when it does, it saves everything. Even sharing this helps more animals find love,